Alright, so I'm going to start this video by saying forgive me if my audio is worse than usual. I know it isn't very good in general for right now, but my headphones are actually starting to wear out on me, and so is the microphone, so if this comes out not great, I apologize, and feel free to just skip it and listen to something else, or even just mute it. Go ahead and mute my voice and just put on whatever music you want to listen to. But I decided to redraw that old picture of Taco that I did, I think like 10 months ago. I think about a year ago. I wanted to kind of redraw it and see how my artwork has progressed and changed over the last while. And I think it's gotten a lot better. I don't think it's perfect yet, obviously. I don't think it's ever going to be perfect. I don't think that's a thing that exists. But I do think I've gotten better. So I'm glad to see that. And honestly, Taco is a very good he's a very good reference point, because the design that I came up with him 10 months ago, I still like. I still like the design of the clothing and the aesthetic of it, but I did think it needed some tweaking. So, it's a nice reference point for me. And for anyone who doesn't know, but I'm pretty sure that you will if you're watching this is Taco, the wizard from Adventure Zone Balance, the first campaign they did in the D&D universe. And he's actually not my favorite one out of the Trace Horny Boys. He's, I think, my second favorite. Magnus is my favorite, definitely. I love that burly boy. But either way, Taco is the most fun to draw, I will admit that much. At least in my version. But I wanted to take a moment and really reflect on how my artwork has changed and why, and kind of have a second to really examine it closely, because I don't very often. I try to avoid doing that as much as I can. But I wanted to actually sit and look at it and really see how it's changed so far. And so that's what I did. And also, I feel like other people kind of like that. I think other people like when they see how you've changed over a period of time. And they get to, especially when it's a character that people tend to like anyway. I feel like when you do something like fan art or something like that, people tend to like it a bit more than when you do anything of your own stuff, like anything original. And so if I'm going to do a redraw of something and actually try to see how it's changed, I tend to do fan art, because I feel like that's the best gauge of it. Because if I do something with my own characters, I do something with my own things, I feel like it's less about how my art has changed, and it becomes more about how the character has changed over time. Which is fine, and that's all well and good, but it doesn't really do as much to be helpful. And so I'm glad that I have a video of that drawing from 10 months ago on here, which is nice. I like it. Hope everyone else likes it too. But I think one thing that has changed quite a bit is the way that I do line work. Because when I made that first video, I was using Medibang Paint on my laptop, and granted, it's still an amazing program, and I love it, but I think it's more of the way that I was working with it it doesn't really jive well anymore. I was doing a thing with line art where I just didn't really care how it came out. Like, I did, but at the same time, it was tedious, and I didn't like to do it because I never felt like it came out how I wanted. And so I just kind of cheated my way through it a lot and used the excuse of trying to just get a smooth line with like a pen brush to just let it be messed up and not fix it. But I've switched over to the Mike Henry has a version of the technical pencil in Procreate that he dubbed the fat pencil, where it's basically just the technical pencil with the maximum size raised. And he uses that for his line art, and I thought it looked really good when he did it. So I tried to employ that, because the hard-edged brushes, like the pens and brush and like ink brushes on Procreate, actually aren't that great. They're kind of finicky and hard to work with. So I think using the fat pencil makes it so that I have to actually pay attention to what I'm doing and actually try really hard to get it to look how I want. And that's good because it means I have to actually pay more attention. Because I think for a while there, I was just kind of cranking things out and not paying attention to them and not paying attention to the details and what I was actually trying to achieve. And I'm glad that at some point I decided to actually put a lot more effort into making things look real. And not real as in like they exist or are anywhere close to realistic, because realism really isn't that interesting to me. It just kind of seems like realism to me is making things you can already see, and that isn't interesting to me, because if I wanted to see something that already exists, I would just go look at it. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean by that? It's much more fun to me to kind of push and exaggerate things. But the way that I was doing it before was kind of nonsensical, and I would just exaggerate whatever I wanted and never pay attention to what I was actually supposed to be doing. And so then it never turned out how I wanted it to. And so now I'm glad that the change in materials and the fact that this material is so expensive and was such a big investment for me makes it so that I am determined to get it to work. And I'm determined to make things that I feel like are worthy of the materials that I purchased, which isn't normally the way you should think about things. You shouldn't normally think of your artwork as having to be worthy of something, but for me, it helps. And then I changed the color palette that I had in the last one, because I really wanted to push that like greenish tinge to his skin, but I didn't want to make him green. I wanted to make him look like he had flesh that just happened to have a greenish tinge to it. And then I wanted to make sure I brought that green from his hair into a few other aspects of the drawing, because last time I think I just kind of threw it in there and it wasn't very cohesive, and it looked fine, but it wasn't great. And honestly, this one isn't probably as good as I wish it was, but I don't see any harm really in just tweaking it a little bit. And I didn't zoom in as much for this coloring portion as I did for the line art, because I didn't think it was as important. But either way, I think it came out pretty well in the end. So I hope you that you guys like it, and I like it. I really do. I know I tend to be kind of negative about my own content, which isn't a great habit, and really I should be breaking out of it. But it's more from a sense of being self-critical than it is from being self-deprecatory. I just want to make it clear that the reason I say negative things about it isn't because I feel like other people should be doing that to themselves. It's more of just my way of keeping track of the information that I got from this. But either way, I hope you all have a good night, and I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I hope you have a good tomorrow and the week after. See you later. Goodbye.